Okay, so JavaScript we will see. So first thing we are going to see is the hoisting. Okay. Now let me open the site parallelly. Okay. So again, just to repeat, those who are having less experience in Angular. Okay, so follow this question. Okay, those who are going to have interview greater than 5 plus, so you can refer this. Okay, this is only for more experience and this is for basic experience. Fine. Now, what's the definition of hoisting? So, very normal and which you can understand properly is like it is a way. What do we mean by hosting? It is a way by which we can use variable and function before initializing. Okay, means let's say we have a script tag. Okay, so I created a variable where course name is equal to Angular. Okay, this variable I have created and declared on line number 11. But before this also I can access this variable. Means before creating the variable, I'm able to access the variable. So this is what we are doing it over here. Before variable initialization, I'm able to access the variable. This is nothing but hoisting. Okay. So now if we see in the console, what it has printed? What it has printed? Undefined. Line number 11. See, at line number 13, we have created the variable. But at line number, we are trying to access that variable. We are able to access. It is not breaking also. But the current variable value is undefined. Understood? So when this line get initialized, after that, that variable value undefined will get replaced by Angular. See, here we have undefined and after line number 15 because this line will execute. So this undefined value by default, this variable has an undefined value. Okay. Once this line execute, then that undefined value get replaced by this value. So we are able to see the value over here. Okay. So hoisting before variable initialization also we can access the variable, but its value will be undefined. This is nothing but hoisting. In case of function also same thing happen. Function print name. Okay, in this I'm simply printing a console. Name is Chetan. So we have a function and we have created this function at line number 18. But before this also, I can execute the function. Function will execute as it is. See, name is Chetan is getting printed. Means we created this function at line number 18, but before this function also we are able to access the function. This is possible because of hoisting. So we can access variable and normal function before its initialization also in JavaScript. That is nothing but hoisting. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Everyone clear? Swarali? Okay. Very simple. See, if you Google now, you will find so many different definition. Try to remember the definition which you understand and which is very easy to explain it also. Okay. And always try to create your own definition. Okay. This is considered that only. If you want to follow this, this is also good. But that definition should be clear to you. It should not be from a Google, right? That hosted to the top of their scope and anything. Then they might ask some other question also. What's the basic of hosting? We can access variable which are declared with latin var and a normal function before its initialization. But the variable will have undefined value over here. Okay. Now, so if we declare a variable with var, that only supports the hosting. Okay. Let's try to declare a variable with let. Let someone is asking something. Let duration is equal to 3 months. Okay. Now I have created one more variable with let value. Okay. Now let's try to access this variable before duration. See, what do we got? Cannot access duration before its initialization. Got it? So if you declare a variable with let, you cannot access that variable before its initialization. But same thing was happening in case of var, right? Let's try a const also. Okay. Let's try to access this also. Start date over here. See, I got the error. So hoisting only supports variable which are declared with var, not with let and constant. Understood? Clear all?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So when you say the definition of this, it is a way by which we can use or access variable or function before initializing it. Only variable which are declared with var supports the hoisting. Okay. Variable which are declared with let and const and arrow function also doesn't support the hoisting. Okay. So let and constant we have seen. This normal function we are able to access it. But let's say if we create an arrow function, how do we create an arrow function? Let's
Uh,
say print full name is equal to like this, correct? Arrow function we store it normally into a variable, correct? Console, hmm, console dot log print full name called. Okay. Now, if you forget this, if you forget the value of this, what is this? Normal variable, right? But in this variable, what we have stored? Arrow function. Okay. If you try to access this console dot log, if I just access like this, what will happen over here? What will be the output of this?
Function definition.
undefined
No. What is
Function.
this? What is this? Variable, na? We are accessing
variable.
variable before its initialization. And variable is declared with var. So what it will print?
Undefined.
Undefined, na? Right? Same case happens with over here also, na? So we are trying to access a variable which is declared with var and we are accessing as a property. Because at this point you don't know in this variable what value you have. So it will print undefined. Okay. Line number 19. But it will break over here because we are trying to access let and const. See, line number 19, undefined. But if you try to execute it, then it will say print name is not a function because this line didn't got executed. No? So how it will know that this variable has a function inside it? Got it? But if you try to access this same function after initialization, then it will execute properly. But let's comment this. See, print name call. So once this line execute and after that you are executing this function, it is working fine. Okay. But if you try to use the arrow function before its initialization, it will break. Okay. So that's why the definition is like only variable which are declared with var and a normal function are accessible before its initialization. Variable which are declared with let, const and arrow function doesn't support hoisting. Understood? Clear everyone? That's everything you should know about the hoisting. Clear? Having any
Yes, sir.
doubt?
Hosting supports only where, right?
Var and a normal function. Let, const and arrow function doesn't support the hoisting.
Okay.
Okay. Get it clear because this is everyone is going to face this question. No Angular interview will go ahead without the hosting and the closer question. Very important. Okay. Again, like because of this, so many JavaScript snippets is also there. If you If this is clear, then you can answer the JavaScript snippets also properly. Think it properly. Let me know if anyone has any doubt.
Sir, can you please repeat it? I am joining late. In short, sorry.
See, in JavaScript, this is not possible in any another language. Before creating the variable, we cannot access it. Any another language, there is no another language where we can access the variable before its initialization. But JavaScript is a language where we can access variable before its initialization also. See, line number 14, we have created this variable, but before line number 14 also, we are able to access the variable. But what it will happen, it will print the value undefined. See, line number 12, what it has printed, undefined. Okay. Once this line execute, after that, if you are trying to access the variable, then it will print whatever the value you have, Angular it is printing. So in JavaScript, variable which are declared with var and a normal function you can access before its initialization. But only variable declared with var and a normal function. Variable declared with let, const and arrow function doesn't support hoisting. So you can see this start date. Okay, if I uncomment this, it will break over here, saying cannot access start date before initialization. So if the variable is declared with let and const, we cannot access this variable before its initialization. Same case with arrow function also. We cannot invoke the arrow function before its initialization. Clear? Okay. Clear now?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone, shall we move ahead? Or let's see some programming questions.
Yes, sir.
So you can go to the snippets and from here you can select the hosting. Okay. So all hosting related questions are over here. Let's say this is the function. Let's copy. Tell me what will be the output of this. Think properly. Understand the, keep in mind the hosting concept and then answer. What will be the output of this? Hmm. Sorry, at least try. What will be the output of
Undefined, 100.
undefined? Here
100.
100
Undefined.
and here
Undefined.
Arey?
Uh,
We
100.
initialize the variable. Now after that we are accessing. Why undefined? Here we have
39.
initialized.
39 undefined.
Which one? 39 undefined.
39 undefined.
Okay.
Second
Here?
undefined. Yeah, 100.
100.
Third 100.
Okay. Now tell me why this is undefined. We are accessing this variable after the initialization of the variable, correct? So why you are saying undefined?
35 condition is false, so
Right.
won't
So
execute.
this line won't execute, right? So where will x will be by default undefined. So that's why undefined. Here also we are trying to access a y before its initialization, so undefined, and here 100. Got it? So whenever you got the snippet, now every time, again, remember the basic and then try to analyze the function. Okay?
The X is Y undefined.
Sorry?
X value in console log, you mentioned that undefined.
No, Sorry,
Y.
आवाज break होतो है.
हेलो
हाँ.
सर वो X undefined क्यों मेंशन आपको
फिर
हम
से
लोग पहले ही डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं X is 50
बट यहाँ पे कंडीशन क्या है? इफ एक्स इफ फॉल्स है,
false.
अगर ये फॉल्स है तो अंदर जाएगा क्या?
ओके
राइट? तो ये लाइन कभी एग्जीक्यूट नहीं होगी, तो एक्स की वैल्यू बाय डिफॉल्ट अनडिफाइंड है तो अनडिफाइंड ही रहेगी, बराबर? हाँ, अगर ये ट्रू रहता तो तुम्हारा कंडीशन ट्रू होता और अंदर गया रहता, फिर यहाँ पे एक्स की वैल्यू तुम्हें 50 मिली रहती, बराबर?
यस
ओके,
ठीक है
हाँ. What will be output of this? What will be output of this? Think very carefully. We have a variable also and we have a function also with the same name and we are trying to execute. What it will execute? This it will execute or this it will execute?
Second.
Second it will execute?
Declaration and then after that,
No. See, we have a variable where we have stored a function. It has also foo name and again we have a function with the same foo name and we are trying to execute. Which will execute? This or this? Let's try.
declaration.
Declaration one.
No. See, what it has executed function expression means first one. Now tell me why first one? Why it hasn't executed this? This is the last one, right? So ideally what all you think this should execute, but it has executed this one. Why?
Because var foo that is storing a function.
But this is also foo, na? See, this is also having the same name and this is also having the same name. But why it has executed
Declaration
this?
is done first. Declaration is done first. No?
Right? So this is a normal function. What is the hoisting? Normal function and a normal variable are hoisted, right? So before, let's say your execution point is before this. Okay. So what does foo hold? Means, let's say you have a debugger over here. Now tell me what foo has your execution at line number 44.
Function.
What does foo has?
Undefined.
No, no. This function. Normal. Let's say if you don't have this. Now what does foo has? At over here, line number 44, what is foo? A function, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And at this point, if you have another variable with var foo, so now this foo will replace. At this point, foo has this function. But when this line executes, foo value get replaced with this function. So that's why when you do this, because this normal function doesn't execute like this, na? Before executing function only, this gets stored into the memory, correct? But when this line execute, right, JavaScript executes step by step. So does this execute step by step? Or it will execute in the first, before executing all the lines, it will hold, it will have the memories available, right? That's why we created this function over here, but before executing that line of code, this we are able to call, correct? Same goes over here. So when we are at line number 44, foo will hold this function. Then, but when this 45 line runs, that foo value, this function value will get replaced with this. That's why when you execute foo, this is actually going to execute. But let's say we have one more function with the same name. I am function expression 2. Now tell me what will print when I call this,
Expression 2.
right? Because again,
22.
this value will get overridden by this, correct? Yes or no? Okay. So again, this is hosting only. What will be the output of this? What will be the output of this? It's very easy.
Undefined. I am hoisted.
Undefined,
Defined
I am hosted, and here
and
this
I
was
am
easy.
I am
hoisted.
hosted.
I'm hosted.
I'm hosted, but we are trying to access a variable outside the block scope. Are you sure we will be able to access this value or this
Yes,
variable
sir.
also?
It's
Yes.
very,
Okay,
yes, sir.
because
var
var
global.
supports function or global scope, right? We are not inside the function, so this var will be a global variable. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I am hosted, undefined, I am hosted, and I am hosted. Okay. So like this, all so many things are there. You need to first try to guess the output and then try the just like we are doing. Okay. Then see why your answer is correct or wrong. Okay. See the method. See first, you need to see the output. Okay. First, you need to guess the output. What will be the output and what is not, and why. Then you check. Like this, you need to do. Okay. So around 15, 16. So many are there. Okay, around 22 snippets are there on hosting only. Okay, so make sure you go everywhere and check everything and try to find out the reason why it is like that. Fine. Now, closure. JavaScript closure. Now, see again, the definition of closure is also very simple. Closure is a combination of functions bundled together with a reference to its surrounding state. Okay. Now, this definition is little bit hard. Let's see it properly. Let's say you have a function outer. Okay. Inside this function, you created a variable where outer text is equal to some value. Okay. Now inside this function, you have another function inner. Now inside this inner function, I will be able to access the variable which are declared in my parent function. Outer text. Here also I am able to access. And this function we need to execute, right? Over here. And then finally this outer function I need to execute. Then only that will execute, correct? See. I have a function outer. Inside that outer function, I have created this variable. Inside my outer function, again, I have a inner function, inner. And inside this inner function, I'm trying to access the variable which are declared in my parent function. Okay. Then I executed this function over here. And the outer function also I have executed over here. Okay. So see, it is printing some value. Means if you have a function and inside that function again you have an inner function. So whatever the variable you created inside the outer function, those variable will be accessible inside the inner function. This is nothing but closure. Got it? When you have a function inside a function and whatever the variable you have declared inside the outer function, you will be able to access inside all the inner function. So that is nothing but closure. Okay. Let's say again here we have function inner 2. Here also I will be able to access. Again, this function also we need to execute. See, one is at line number 69 and one other is 73. This one. Clear? Let's say in this inner function, again we have a function. Function inner. Okay. And here also I will be able to access the variable which is declared at outer function. And again, this function I will need to execute. See, line number 72. Got it? Again, let's say in inner function also I have a variable. Inner text is equal to inner text. And this variable I will be accessed to over here also. See, inner text is also I'm able to access. Understood? So like this, you can go any deeper. Okay. So whatever the parent variable you have, that you will be able to access in all the inner function what you create. Understood? let's say you have some global variable. Okay. Now this is my global variable. Now this variable I will be able to access over here also, over here also, over here also. Everywhere I will be able to access. See, react, react, react. Got it? Because this is global, so it can be accessible in across all the script tag. Okay. But this will also be the concept of closure only, because we are accessing the variable outside the scope of this function. So this is your parent scope, you can say. Understood? So this is closure. What do we mean by closure? When you have a function inside a function, and whatever the variable you have declared inside the outer function, that you can access inside the inner function as well. This is possible because of closure. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Vice versa is not possible, no? If we declare a variable in error,
Hmm.
let or const, that we cannot
No,
access in outer.
no. Means you declared here and you are trying to access in outer,
Yeah,
right?
where we can access, I think.
Where you cannot see, because where has a global or a function scope, right? No. See,
Yeah.
in function, this inner text variable we have declared in this function. Let's try to access this over here. Okay. Now we are trying to access a variable which is in this function. Okay. So see,
Mm.
it will
Yeah.
break. Why? Your doubt
Mm.
was if you declare a variable with let and const, then only we are able. No, we won't be able to access. But we declared var, but still we are not able to access. Why?
Function scope.
Because var has a function or global scope. Currently, where is this var? Inside the function. So it will follow the function scope. So we cannot access a variable which is declared in one function in another
Mm.
function. But vice versa, this variable you have created in the outer function. Outer function
Yeah.
variable you can access inside the inner function. That direction you
Correct.
can go, but vice versa you cannot go. Doesn't matter your variable declare with let or const. Okay. If you declare instead of this var, if you declare with let, still you will be able to access it. Let's comment this. See. Okay. Doesn't matter what you declare. Let, var, const, everything supports. But vice versa, nothing will work. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Clear, everyone? So simple theoretical definition will be when you have a function and inside that function again you have a function. So whatever the variable you declared inside the parent function, those variable you will be able to access inside the child function as well. That is closure. Okay. Then they will ask you like what are the default something is there in JavaScript which support closure. What do we have in JavaScript which by default support closure? Set timeout, set interval. These are nothing but function, right? What we normally do. Let's say function print name. Okay, I have a normal function. Inside this function, I will write the set timeout. Okay, after 5 seconds. In this function, I have created a variable. Let course duration is equal to 2 months. Okay, I have created a function. Inside that function, I have this variable. Now, inside the set timeout, I'm able to access this function, this variable. Okay, and this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No? See, after 5 seconds, we printed the value. So set timeout. Is this a function? Is this a function or not?
Yes.
Right? So this is a function which is able to access the variable from its outside scope. So this is a ready-made example or a default example which support hoisting. Okay. This set timeout can be written as like this also. Set timeout. Instead of arrow function, we can write a normal function also. Return. And here I will say normal function. So first this will print, see normal function, then this will print because it has 3 seconds, it has 5 seconds. Got it? So this is also closure because these are nothing but function only. So function which are inside another function. So we are able to access the variable declared over here, inside over here. Clear? This is closure. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Anyone having any doubt? All good?
So we can use a set interval.
Yeah, same thing. No? Set interval, set timeout, same thing. Closure. Okay. Which is the normal one? This one we will see. Tell me what will be the output now. Just see the function properly, okay, what we are doing. What will be the output? And is it closure? Does it, whatever the snippets we have, does it follow the closure or no?
Yes.
Right? Obviously, we have function inside a function, so it is closure, right? But here we are returning this function. So this outer function is returning another function. Okay. And this function is actually returning the variable this value, right? See, if you remove this, inner function is returning whatever the value you have in this variable, but outer function is also returning this function. So when you call outer function, this function is returning something, but what it is returning? A function only. So when you call this function, you have to actually store into it, because if a function is returning some value, we store it into another variable normally, correct? Just like that. So outer function is returning something, so we have to store it over here, and then we will execute it. But this function, whenever we return it, it will still remember the variable declared over here because it holds the reference over here. So still after this function got executed, but after that also it will remember the variable value because of the closure. See, I know JS. Got it? In earlier example, what we did, inside the function only we executed. Here also inside the function only, there only we executed this function. So it remember, just like that, after the execution of this parent function also, still it remembers this variable value inside the inner function. Okay, might be like everyone might not be able to understand this, and it is not required also, because this normally for less experience they won't ask something like this. Basic only they will go. Okay, let's see this one, for loop. What will be the output of this? This is very famous one. What will be the output of this for loop?
0, 1, 2.
0, 1, 2. Everyone agree?
Bus.
0, 1, 2.
3, 3, 3.
3,
3, 3, 3. Why 3, 3, 3? Why 3, 3, 3?
because we are using set timeout. So, so the execution of set timeout would be happen after 1000 milliseconds.
Right. And at that
Till
time,
then, the
your
I,
for loop must
yes,
have been iterated, correct? So what's the latest value of I? 3. See, let me print it over here. I will print console.log. Just I will print inside the for loop. Okay. See, 0, 1, 2. But after set timeout, see, 3 times it has printed 3. Got it? So here you will get the new value of I. But this set timeout, it will execute after 3 seconds. But till that time, all your for loop has been completed its execution. And what's the latest value of I? 2. So that it will print. Understood?
Please repeat.
Understood or no? Let me start the
No,
material.
Not getting.
Wait, wait.
set timeout will execute after 1 second, no?
Right, but wait, let me start again. See, this var variable, okay, how many memory location it will happen? This var, we have declared the var variable, okay. So this will hold only one memory location for or for every for loop, it will create another location for this variable. This will have only single memory or multiple memory. For every iteration, it will have different memory or a single variable memory.
Single only.
Single only, na? Right? So
single.
when you are iterating the for loop, this I value will keep on changing, correct? And set timeout will execute after 1 second. But before 1 second, your for loop will execute, correct? See now over here, 0, 1, 2
Yeah.
got printed, then your 3 got printed, right? So when your set timeout execute, whatever the value of I we have, that will only print. Got it? Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Now, instead of where, let's start with let now. Now it has printed 0, 1, 2, just like with where. Why?
Here it will store in different memories.
Right? Because where has a function or a global scope, right? Okay. When we say where, now what the scope of this where? Function or a global?
Global.
Global, because is this inside the function? No, na. This is directly in the script tag. So it will support global scope. So only one memory will be there for all the iteration. But when we say let, so let has a block scope, right? So for every block scope, it will have a different memory. So that's why when we use the set timeout, it will refer to the memory for this particular block for first iteration, second iteration, and third iteration. Got it? So that's why in case of let,
Yes.
it will print the latest value because for every block, it will have a different memory for I and it will point to that. Understood? Understood or no? Okay. See, one more. Let's say you have a var over here. And after for loop, let's say if I try to access console.log I, what it will print over here? What will print over here? Line number 120.
3.
Are you sure? 3?
Sir, your voice is a little bit slow.
Scope, no.
Line number 120. What it will
Undefined.
print? Undefined? Where is this var? First of all, this var is in global or
Yes, sir.
function scope? Global scope. We are accessing var
Global.
after the initialization, right? So will it be undefined? No, na?
Mm.
Obviously, it will print 3 only, na? The latest value of I. After the for loop. See, line number 123 has printed.
For is not function scope.
Sorry?
For is global scoped or function scope?
No. For only variable will have the scope, na? For is not a scope. Where we have this for loop? Do we have this for loop inside a function or a global?
Global.
Global, right? So whatever you do over here, where this I, this will also be in a global, correct?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So we will be able to access the latest value of I over here. And if I print the same over here, now what it will print over here? What will be the value of I over here?
Undefined.
Undefined, because this will initialize over here, na? See, undefined. Clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's say I have a function print for, and now my for loop goes into my function. Now tell me the output of this console and this console.
Same undefined and
Right?
three.
Undefined, because now your for loop inside a function. Can you access a variable from inside a function to outside?
No.
No.
Right? Understood now?
But sir, print for is the function, na, so it only showing undefined. Na? That console.log I is not, that also print undefined.
No,
Because we
sorry.
didn't call print.
It doesn't matter you call or not. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter you call or not. So sorry, it won't be undefined, na? Can we access a variable inside a function outside? It will I is not defined, na? When do we get undefined?
Okay.
Array,
Yes.
if you create
It
your
is
way, right?
It is in global
not.
scope.
If this I was in a global, before variable initialization, we will access it. That will be undefined. But this I variable is inside a function, so we cannot access it. So I will be undefined. Okay, here also and here also.
Yes, sir.
Clear now? Not
Good.
undefined. It
Yes.
won't be able to access that variable altogether. Okay?
Hmm.
Okay? Clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
So see, for this simple for loop, we have seen for with where, for with why, for with let, for in a global, for in a function. So many variations are there. Okay? But these are the normal one. Whenever like for, they will try to ask with the where, then they will ask you with the I, and then if you answer that, then they will try to access you after the for loop. If I am trying to access the where, what it will happen? Like this, they will try to play around. Okay? Again, we have to stick to the basic. Where is that for loop? If it is in the global, after the for loop also we will be able to access, right? But if that for loop is inside the function and outside the function we are trying to access the I, obviously we won't be able to access it. Correct? Because whatever we define inside the function, that will be accessible within that function only, not outside that. Clear? Okay. Shall we move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hoisting closure. Then what is the next?
Prototype.
Prototype, we will keep it at the end. It's little bit hard to understand. Map reduce CS6. Okay, let's see the prototype.
Reduce filter.
Huh? Which one?
The map reduce filter. Small
Map
example.
reduce filter array. Okay. We will see that later. What's the easiest one I'm seeing? Let's complete the function. What are the various types of function? Okay. Now, what are the types of function you know till now? Whatever we have seen in the JavaScript. What are the types of
Arrow
function?
function.
Arrow function we have not
Normal
seen.
function. Arrow.
When we started
Parameter
JavaScript, how
function.
many function we have seen? Normal function, function with parameter, and function which can return value. Only three function we have seen.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes.
Now we have a function which we can store it into a variable name variable also. Where print. is equal to function. Okay, console.log. I will print. Now this variable, what's the value of this variable? It holds a function. Okay, does this function have a name?
No.
Right?
No.
Normally when we create a function, after function we give a name. So this function doesn't have a name. So this is anonymous function. A function which doesn't have a name is an anonymous function. Okay. Got the idea of anonymous function? A function which doesn't have a name. Clear? Clear or no? A function which doesn't have a name. Because if you see, this is a variable, right? But if we talk about function, this function doesn't have a name, right? So this is an anonymous function. Is set interval an anonymous function?
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because here also this is a function. It doesn't have a name. Got it? So a function which doesn't have a name, doesn't matter if it is a normal function and arrow function. If it doesn't have a name, that is an anonymous function. Clear? So this is that first thing, anonymous function. A function which doesn't have a name. Okay? Now, can I call this function over here? What it will happen over here if I call this function? What should be the error?
Error.
What error?
Only
It's not a function. Print is not a function.
Print is not a function. What's the value of print over here at this point of execution? What's the value of print?
Undefined.
Undefined. Can we execute undefined?
No.
No.
Right?
No.
So it will say print is not a function. Why it is saying interval? Where is interval? Okay. Why it is printing? Oh, because we have print name, it is going to the print. I think print is by default function, which will directly print our HTML page. Right? Print name. See, print name is not a function because at this point, print name is a variable, right? So it will have an undefined value. Got it? Again, this is hoisting only. Okay. But after this, we will be able to access it. If I comment this, see, it is printing print. Means this function got executed. Clear? Now, just like this, we can have one more function where print full name function print f name. Okay. Now this is anonymous function, but this is also kind of a function which we are storing into variable, but this function has a name. Okay. So this is called as a named function. Named function. Okay. A function which is stored into a variable, but it has a name. But still, this function you cannot access outside this. See, print name is not defined. This function you cannot call outside. Only you can, if you want to access this function, you can access by this only. Got it? So this is your anonymous function, a function which doesn't have a name, and this is a function which you are storing into a variable, but it has a name. Clear? Anonymous function
Yes.
with a name. Okay. Then argument, and this is clear. Pure function. Function get sum. Return result. Okay. This is one function, and this is another function. Get square num1, and here I have a variable number 2. So num into num then constant new result plus number 2. Okay, and then I'm returning this variable. Now we have two functions. This is one function and this is another function. Now I am saying this is pure function and this is impure function, or this is not a pure function. We don't have impure word, but this is a pure function and I'm saying this is not a pure function. Now why I'm saying like this is not a pure function and this is a pure function?
In second one, we are accessing number variable, which is outside
Right?
that function.
So now a function where you are not using any outside variable, that becomes a pure function. A simple definition. A function where you are not using any outside variable. Okay, so that will be a pure function. If you are using any outside variable inside a function, now this outside variable value can be changed anytime, right? So this is not a pure function. Now the definition is pure function is a function that always return the same result if the same argument are passed. A pure function is a function that always return the same result if the same argument is passed. Okay. Now, if you execute this function multiple times and if you pass 10 and 10, every time it will return the 20 only. Correct? This function, every time, doesn't matter how many times you call this function with 10, 10 value. Every time this function will return 20 only. Okay. But this get square function. Let's say if I pass 2, what will be the output? 2 into 2, 4 plus 2, 6, right? Console.log. Okay. 6 we got. But this function, does it guarantee that every time if I pass 2, it will return the 6 only? Is it guaranteed?
No.
No.
Because, see, now this variable value I'm changing to 4. Okay. And then again I'm calling this function with the same input. Say now your output got changed. Because in this function you are using an outside variable number, and this outside variable value can be changed. Na? So your function is not going to return the same output if you pass the same input. But in this case, we are not using any outside variable. So every time if you pass the same number of input, it will return the same output. So this is your pure function. Clear? So for your
Yes, sir.
understanding, a function where you are not using any outside variable, that becomes a pure function. Clear, everyone? Okay.
Yes.
Now again, like higher
What
order.
is the difference between
Hmm?
method and function?
A method is a function. Both are function. Okay. Something which is returning, we can call it as a function, and something which is not returning, that will as a method. Actually, in JavaScript, we don't have method. Everything is function only. But if you are coming from a backend technology, you know method and the function. In backend technology, what do we know by method? A function which is not returning anything, right? So that becomes method. And if a function is returning something, so that becomes function. But in actual JavaScript, everything is function only. Okay, but those who come from the backend, they might know method. So method will be like which doesn't return anything, and something which return value, that becomes a function. Okay. Then we have first class function. So first class function, again, first class and higher order function. These are nothing but similar. So a function which can be stored into a variable, a function which can return a function which can accept another function as a parameter. Okay. So those are called as a first class or the higher order function. It's just a theoretical. Okay. First class function or higher order function are the type of function which can return a function, which can accept another function as a parameter also. Means, let's try function print. Okay. Now this function has another function as a parameter, function name. And here, whatever the value you get it over here, that you will execute. See, you have a function with parameter, and this parameter you are trying to execute. Okay. Now, when you call this function, you have to pass a function. So inside, as a parameter, you are passing another function over here. Okay. So what we have done, we have a function which has a parameter. When I'm calling this function, what I'm passing as a parameter, another function. Now I can execute this. See, it has printed. Got it? So this function is accepting another function as a parameter. So this is also your first class function, or a function which is returning another function also, right? So let's say function print num. Let's say you have a function inside that print square console.log. Okay, we have this function inside that. Again, we have a function, and I'm simply returning this function. So this is your higher order function or first class function. Okay, a function which can do all of this. It will allow you to store into variable. It will return a function. It will accept another function as a parameter. Everything is nothing but your, I mean, this just the theoretical part. Higher order or first class function, they are called. Clear? This is just a technical jargon, just to confuse you. Nothing. It's not a topic or something. And what we did over here, we called, when we execute this function print, we called this function. So this also becomes a callback function. So while executing this function, you are passing another function as a parameter, and this function you can then execute anytime. So this is also a callback function, a function which you can pass to another function, and that function they will execute after some particular number of lines. So that becomes your callback function. This is a, means by theoretical it is a first class function also, but when we pass one function as a parameter to another function, and in that function, that parameter we execute as a function after some number of lines or anywhere inside this function, so that is your callback function. Clear? Okay, then we have function currying. Let's say we have function sum of two number. Okay, inside this function we are again returning another function. Here we have first parameter as in num1, second parameter will go over here num2. Okay, now over here actually I'm returning num1 plus num2. Okay, see, we have a function, inside that function again we have a function, but we are returning it, and this function is also returning num1 plus num2. So when we have a function like this, how do we execute it? Like function 1 and again round bracket 5. So see, let's add a debugger over here and inside this function as well. See, num1 we got it over here and num2 we got 5. So first parameter it will get over here, second parameter it will get over here. This is function currying, function inside a function inside a function, and while executing it we can pass parameter like this in multiple round bracket. Clear? Again inside this also again we can have another function. So instead of returning directly this, again I can have a function. which I will return. Num3. And here I will simply num1 plus num2 plus num3. And again I have to pass one more 8.
Uh,
Hmm.
can we try that this second function has two arguments? Then how will we pass?
No, that is not possible. Okay, means you are saying here we can have num1 and let's
Num2,
say
there is num2.
num1
Yeah,
2 like this. Here you can pass no.
yes, comma. Okay.
See, here you will get it. Okay. And then num2 will have the second one. See, this is like you are invoking inside function. You can pass any number of parameters over here.
Yeah.
So this is your function currying. It's very simple. Okay, this question has cost me global logic interview when I shifted from Accenture last time because I didn't know this. And after this question, interviewer stopped my interview. So many things are
So,
easy, but unless you see it or you try it, that's it. It's not
Okay.
that much difficult, right? But if you have not gone through it, obviously you don't know it. Because in Angular, we cannot write something like this. Got it? Clear, everyone? Someone else asking something. Who is this admin? Yesterday I also asked, who is this admin? Can you, admin, what's your name? Don't know. Okay. Anyone having any question? Clear, everyone? Function currying. So these are the different types of functions we have. All the questions are over here. Make sure you go properly and understand everything. Self-executing function again. Okay.
Please share this link.
JavaScript only, no? You don't have it? Self-executing function. Okay. Okay. And inside this console, see, this function got executed immediately. So this is like self-invoking function. We don't have to execute this function. Whenever this line execute 193, this function will execute at that time only. Self-invoking or self-executing function you can call. This function will execute by default. We don't have to invoke this function. Self-invoking function or self-executing function, this is called. Is there another example of self-invoking function or self-executing function you know already? You know this type of function already. A function which can be invoked,
timeout, set
set timeout, set
set
interval,
interval.
right? Those are also nothing but self-invoking function or self-executing function.
Init will not be self-executing, no?
Which?
Ng on init. Init on init.
No, that is something different. That gets executed
On-
automatically, but if we implement it at the top, right? That is something else. You can say that is also self-executing function or constructor is also, right? We don't invoke constructor, right? But still it executes. Okay. Clear all? So those who are actually giving interview, make sure you go everywhere, everything over here. Okay. And once you are done over here, then you can visit here, function and more. Some more proper examples are there. Anonymous function. Set timeout is also nothing but anonymous function. Invocally executing also is nothing but an anonymous function, because this function also doesn't have a name. So this will fall under anonymous function as well. Okay. Pure function. So many example I have provided over here. Okay. Fine. So those who are preparing, make sure you go through first this and then this. Okay. Again, you can come back to me if you have anything which is not clear. Chalo. Shall we stop then? And those who are going to work on the project component, please make sure you complete it today and tomorrow. Okay. So on Monday, we can have a full picture of working project. Fine then. Let's connect tomorrow. Tomorrow again, same time we can connect in the morning for JavaScript.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone okay? Fine. Okay. Let's connect tomorrow then. Bye all.